Under serious pressure, federal government drags Nnamdi Kanu to Supreme Court. After having received widespread condemnation for not respecting appeal court's ruling on Nnamdi Kanu, the federal government has asked the Supreme Court to set aside the October 13 appeal court's judgment, which discharged and acquitted the leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The notice of appeal, dated October 18, which was signed by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Mohammed Abubakar, Senior State Counsel, G. Nweze, Department of Public Prosecution, Federal Ministry of Justice, and Assistant Chief State Counsel, D.S. Kaswe, and A. Aluko, contains 7 grounds of appeal against the appeal court's judgment. The President Muhammad Buhari's led government is also seeking a stay of execution of the judgment of the court presided over by Justice Jumai Sankey, pending the hearing and final determination of the appeal court before the Supreme Court. The federal government noted that the IPOB leader posed a flight risk following the earlier judgment. The government faulted the appeal court's stance that how the separatist was brought back to the country from Kenya can vitiate and weaken the criminal charges of treasonable felony and terrorism filed against him in 2021. Nigeria's secret police, popularly known as DSS, brings 20-year-old Idara Gold to court after 11 months illegal detention for wearing Biafra armed outfit. According to Sahara reporters, they continue to trail Idara's detention by the DSS. The President Muhammad Buhari-led Nigerian government has again been lambasted over the Department of State Services unjust incarceration of 20-year-old woman Idara Gold for 11 months for wearing a Biafra armed outfit. The African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore, who is also a human rights activist, confirmed in a tweet on Wednesday that Idara was brought to court by the DSS on Wednesday after about a year in illegal detention. Hashtag free Idara Gold now. Lawless DS shows up in the court with Idara Gold today. That's according to that on that day. First time since her abduction, she was arrested for putting on this Biafran term dress to celebrate her birthday. At M. Buhari made Nigeria the most Halloween place to live on earth. Hashtag we can't continue like this, so retweeted. Meanwhile, Sahara reporters had reported that outage continued to trail Idara's detention by the DSS. She has been detained for 11 months without trial after she was arrested for wearing a Biafra termed outfit. Sahara reporters earlier reported that Idara Gold, a 20-year-old activist from Akwa Ibom State, was unlawfully arrested and detained in Enugu by DSS. Her crime was wearing a Biafra termed outfit. It was learned. According to reports, she was accosted by the police on November 8, 2021 in Enugu. The policemen were said to have browsed through her phone when they saw a picture she had posted online wearing a Biafran attire to celebrate her 20th birthday. She was arrested and handed over to DSS in Enugu, from where she was transferred to DSS headquarters, Abuja. Since November 8, 2021 to the day she was brought in the court, the DSS has detained her and also, according to report, denied her access to her lawyer, friends, and family, and have not charged her with any offense. According to human rights activist Osman Ugu stated that when her family approached an Abuja High Court seeking enforcement of her fundamental rights, DSS filed an affidavit claiming that they had concluded their investigation in the matter in January 2022. In the affidavit obtained by Sahara reporters, the DSS told the court that it had transferred her to a military barracks in Kenji, Niger State in February, and her case file had been transferred to the Federal Ministry of Justice. Meanwhile, a campaign calling for the immediate release of Idara Gold from custody had been launched on various social media platforms with hashtag free Idara Gold. But it's quite amazing that a 20-year-old will be picked up, and you could say she is also incarcerated, picked up, held for that long without being charged. And another amazing thing is, she was picked up, arrested for wearing a particular cloth. I don't know whether the cloth is an outlaw or I can't understand. She was held for that for almost a year without trial. A 20-year-old in Nigeria under Buhari's rule. Is that done anywhere? I think according to the law, you should be charged within 24 hours of your, at least, you should be arraigned or something like that. You detain her, and even to the extent of taking her to a military barrack for putting on her birthday. And I heard police, Nigerian police do not have right to search people's phone. I wonder why. They should, look into her phone. It's like the police says one thing and does another. No, this is quite unheard of. Look at the treatment meted on a 20-year-old. This is quite unheard of. Kanu's American lawyer seeks suspension of Nigeria from UN General Assembly for failing to release compensate IPOB leader. The working group on arbitrary detention is under the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, UNCHR. Bruce Fein, the United States-based counsel for Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has again written to the International Working Group over the continued incarceration of the IPOB leader. The Working Group on Arbitrary Detention is under the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, UNCHR. The group comprises scholars and experts who specialize in human rights issues and related laws. Fein, a few months ago, petitioned the group over an alleged gross violation of his client's rights. In its report on July 2022, the UN group described Kanu's extraordinary rendition from Kenya in June 2021 as illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional. It also called for the immediate release of the IPOB leader and compensation by the Nigerian and Kenyan governments for the way he was treated. In the document, the body also indicted both Nigeria and Kenya for Kanu's abduction and rendition. And despite the call by the UN Working Group, the Nigerian government has failed to release the IPOB leader. In another petition to the body obtained by Sahara reporters on Wednesday, Fein urged the group to recommend that the United Nations Security Council should consider suspending Nigeria from the UN for allegedly violating the principles of the United Nations Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. He said it's against international law for a nation to kidnap, torture, and then subject a citizen to an extraordinary rendition to different nations while traveling. The letter reads, this letter chronicles the continuing contemptuous defiance of this group's 20 July 2022 opinion regarding Nnamdi Kanu by the federal government of Nigeria. The chief culprits are Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari and Attorney General Abubakar Malami. The opinion requested the source to update the working group on the government's compliance, paragraph 111. The opinion found that Nnamdi Kanu's detention following kidnapping, torture, and extraordinary rendition violates 16 international human rights covenants. Paragraph 105. The opinion called on the government of Nigeria to take urgent action to ensure the immediate unconstitutional release of Mr. Kanu. Paragraph 107. Since the opinion was issued 3 months ago, the government has steadfastly refused to release Mr. Kanu from his indefinite arbitrary detention in solitary confinement without access to necessary and urgent medical care. Further, in violation of paragraph 110, the government snubbed the working group's request to disseminate the opinion through all available means as widely as possible. The government's open and notorious lawlessness has been compounded by its equal scorn for an October 13, 2022 decision by the Court of Appeal of Nigeria Abuja Judicial Division, holding at Abuja. Among other things, the decision held that Nnamdi Kanu's extraordinary rendition from Kenya by the government of Nigeria was illegal. Accordingly, Honorable Justice Oladotun Adefope Okoye declared I hold that Nnamdi Kanu is prohibited from being detained in Nigeria for or in respect of any offense allegedly committed by him before his extraordinary rendition to Nigeria. Page 40. The justice continued by the forcible abduction and extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria on the 27th day of June 2021. In violation of international and state laws, any court in this country is divested of jurisdiction to entertain charges against Mr. Kanu. Attorney General Malami, nevertheless, has refused to release Mr. Kanu from detention in violation of the Court of Appeals decree, which constitutes the crime of forced imprisonment by the Attorney General himself. Accordingly, Mr. Kanu respectfully urges the working group to inform the Human Rights Council of Nigeria's violation of the above referenced opinion and serial violations of law generally as regards himself. Mr. Kanu further urged the group to recommend that the United Nations Security Council consider suspending Nigeria from the United Nations for persistently violating the principles of the United Nations Charter and Universal Declaration of Human Rights until Nnamdi Kanu is unconditionally released as mandated by both international and Nigerian law. South Africa was similarly suspended by the United Nations General Assembly over its apartheid policies. International peace and security are threatened if a nation with impunity is permitted to kidnap, torture, and then subject to extraordinary rendition a citizen of a different nation while traveling abroad. Nnamdi Kanu is a citizen of the United Kingdom who was kidnapped and tortured by Nigeria while traveling in Kenya before his lawless extraordinary rendition.